This is Algebra 1, Lessons 22 and 23. Starting off here with Lesson 22, we're going to talk about analyzing and comparing statistical graphs. These are going to be like bar graphs, double bar graphs, stem and leaf plots, pie charts. Things that are we fairly familiar with? Somewhat. Okay, so still not a whole lot of new information. It's just different ways to display statistical information. So our bar graph is our vertical or horizontal bars can represent our data on an X and Y axis. We have double bar graph, which can show two things side by side. If you're looking in your book on page, let's look over there. You got a really good picture of a bar graph there on page 127. There's a good picture of a double bar graph on page 128, where you can see two things compared in contrast against each other. All right. Stem and leaf plot. This is where you would have your tens digits show up in separation from your ones digits, where your tens digits would be your stems and your ones digits would be your leaves, right? If we're looking at data, we can see how many are in different groups. So the stems have a greater place value. That's not always tens. It could be hundreds or thousands. Stem and leaf plots are useful for organizing and ordering data, finding out. We might do that if we were looking at test scores, find out how many of you scored in the 80s, how many of you scored in the 90s, how many scored in the 60s, right? And seeing where, and being able to take students and categorize them and seeing where different people fit in different places. We can do that. In a line graph, a line is drawn through points on a grid to show trends, changes in data over time. We connect those points, right? As with bar graphs, two related data sets can be compared. We could do a double line graph, show where things go up and down. Sometimes you see things like, if you're bored enough to watch the news, I guess, where you'll see like the Dow Jones report and you see, things kind of going up or down or things like that. That's a little bit more of a line graph. It's not quite a bar graph. You could see if we wanted to show two different sets of things, we could do a double line graph. Then we have a circle graph, what we also probably more commonly know as a pie chart, where we compare parts of the circle to the whole circle. The whole circle represents the entire set of data. Okay, I didn't put a whole bunch of pictures here. You guys do have stuff like that in your book, though. Okay, so pretty short and easy in terms of that stuff, which is why this is a double lesson. So we're going to go ahead and throw in some lesson 23 stuff, solving two-step equations. Okay, if an equation has two operations, maybe we have addition and subtraction taking place, or multiplication and division, or addition and or multiplication and subtraction, or any combination of two operations. We're going to use inverse operations and work backwards to undo each operation one at a time. And we use the reverse of the order of operations. So if we're trying to solve two-step equations, and let's say I have something like 5x minus 3 equals 4, okay? I'm going to use inverse operations to simplify this, meaning I'm going to, instead of doing multiplication first, or trying to undo multiplication first, I'm going to undo subtraction first by adding 3 to both sides. So I'm getting 5x equals 7, and then I'm going to undo the multiplication through division by dividing by 5, and so I get x equals 7/5. Does that make sense? All right, so opposite of order of operations in terms of what you'll address first. Let's see, we can erase. Okay. In more advanced problems, you may need to find the root or take it to a power to undo exponents or roots. You won't have to deal with anything like that for a while, though, I don't think. So that's it in terms of the note side of things. Let's go ahead and try to solve some questions. Okay. All right, so we've got 1/2 in minus 1/3 equals 1. Let me pause this and answer that. Okay, so in terms of solving number 1 first, what's the first thing that we'd want to move to the other side in order to solve for n? The negative 1/3, right? Because I'm subtracting there. How do I undo that subtraction? Through addition. So that's going to give me 1/2 n equals really 1 1/3, or what, 4/3? Is that the same? 4/3. Okay. So we're adding that there. All right. What do I need to do next? Divide by 1/2. Can I divide by a fraction? No. So what do I need to do? Multiply by the reciprocal. So we're going to multiply by 2 over 1, 2 over 1. N equals what? 8/3. 8/3. Yeah, but they leave it as an improper fraction. Okay? So far, so good. Number 2, in which month, okay, now we're actually going to look at some charts. In which month were the sales at the music warehouse the greatest? Use the graph to find the answer. It's kind of hard to see here, but these lines, the music warehouse lines, are going like that. So we're looking for the one that has horizontal lines. I think I heard Tiffany say, what month were their sales the greatest? April, right? So we see that right there. Okay. If they were going to ask about Tommy's Music Place, where were their sales the greatest? In May. Okay, good. Anything very hard there? Not really. Okay, let's keep going. 3, we want to list these. List the data values in the stem and leaf plot. Let's see. Let's start from least to greatest. What's the first number being represented by our stem and leaves? 30, then 31, 35, 51, 53, 57, 59, 71, 91, right? So do we see one that matches that? C matches that. Okay. Come down here. Between which 2 days did lunch sales increase the most? So we're looking for the most increase between what 2 days do we see the highest amount of increase? Between Tuesday and Wednesday. Very good. Okay. Okay, let's see. The State Highway Patrol is measuring traffic at 3 exit ramps. All 3 exit ramps lead to a stop sign where the driver must turn right or left. The table shows that the statistics for each of the exit ramps. We want to make a double bar graph of the data. Exit 1. So really, my bars need to represent what? Left and right, or exit 1, 2, and 3? Left and right. So because it's just a double bar graph, not a triple bar graph. All right. So we need bars from for left and right. So we need to determine from this. Because you can already see some differences here. We need to pick out which one is correct. Okay. So let's just look at our first one. It gives me my right. Okay, at exit 1. Right turn should be 51. Is that about right? Left 47. That's about right. Let's look at exit 2. Let's see. Right turn 38. We kind of need to determine what this is going by, though, don't we? It's going by 5s. And it should be what number of cars? Okay, let's see. 5, 10. Okay, so 30, 35, 40. So that looks pretty close. Let's see, exit 2 on left turns, 52. So there's 50, 55. It's a little hard to see, but it doesn't look, looks a little closer to 55 than 52, though, doesn't it? Looks like it should be a little closer to 52. I might be wrong. I might just be nitpicky here. Let's look at exit 3. My horizontal line should be 68, right? Because that's at 70, isn't it? It could be really close, but and then I've got 71. Well, that's clear up at 75. So let's see if we see anything that's a little closer. Notice that on C, do you notice anything wrong with graph C? It's going by ones. Is it going to go nearly high enough for the numbers being represented on our chart? No. No. So, I mean, graph A actually did a pretty decent job with going by fives. What about graph D? It's going again by ones, isn't it? So it's not going to go high enough. Let's see. I don't know if I can go back and forth enough here. Is B more accurate than A? They look. Okay, let's look across. That's kind of a hard thing to do. They do look fairly similar. I'm gonna check my answer key and see which one actually comes out to the correct answer. The left and right. Okay, yeah. So I think that probably there's a good chance that our A is our right answer. What was this? Question number 5? Yeah, it should be A. Like I said, I was probably being a little nitpicky, and unless we broke out a ruler and could see right where they come across, sometimes it's a little hard to tell. Okay, here we're given a pie chart. Circle graph, compares the number of videos of each type. What percent of the movies rented were comedy movies? Use this circle graph to answer the question. Okay, so what we need to figure out, though, is how many movies were there, right, in order to find a percent? Correct? Okay. So how we're going to find out, does it say in the description how many movies were watched or rented? No. So what do we need to do? Add them up. So, 50 and 150, there's 200, right? So we got 200, there's 325. Is it 500? 500. So if we have 500 movies being rented, we want to find out what percentage 175 represents. What do we do? Take what? 325 times 100. No. What do you get when you take 500 divided by 175? Right, and 2.85 represents what percent? Somebody know what percentage is being represented by 2.857? This is a good question, right? I think we've run into this before. Okay, let me go back because we still haven't answered the question that I asked. What does the decimal 2.85 represent as a percent? What do I have to do with the decimal to get a percent? Multiply by 100, right? So what percent does 2.85 represent? 285%. Is it possible that 175 is 285% of 500? So we weren't wrong to divide, but we were wrong in how we divided. Okay, keep this simple. If you want to know what your percentage is on a test, how do you figure that out? You take what? You take your score and divide it by how many points were possible, right? So let's say on a 20-point test, you got 15 of them right, correct? You're going to take 15 and divide it by 20, right? Okay? 15 divided by 20 is going to give you 0.75. You're going to multiply that by 100. You're going to get 75%. So we need to take 175 and divide it by 500. What do you get? 0.35, okay, which is going to be what percent? 35%. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Yeah, there are other ways to do that. You could probably set up a proportion for it. Yeah. Okay. This one is really similar to the one that we kind of showed on the board. Number 7, what's the first thing I need to do to solve for h? I think I heard somebody whisper it. Subtract 9. All right. What's 32 minus 9? And the better sentence is subtract 9 from both sides, correct? All right, so you got 5h equals what? 23. All right, so divided by 5. Right, and they want this answer as a mixed number. So 5 will go into 23, what, 4 times? 4 times with what, 3 left over? So 4 3/5. Okay. Okay, let's see. Do we feel pretty good about those? We feel like we know how to do that? Okay, here's a quick question for you. On number 8, what do you need to do first? Subtract 18. Because the last thing you need to do is divide by -2. So 34 minus 18 divided by -2. What was 34 minus 18? 16. 16 divided by -2? -8. Good. Okay. So be careful with some of these. Number 9 is a good question, right? What do I need to do first here? Add what? Add 5/10. So I over 20. Okay, we're taking 2/10 and adding 5/10. What's that going to give me? 7/10. Right, now what do I need to do? Multiply by what? No, we're not.
One thing where you just, since it's divided by 2.
Look, this is I divided by 20. How do I undo division? Guys, yeah, we're not making this too complicated. I equals, what's 7 times 20? 140, right? 140 divided by 10. I equals 14. Okay? You're still just doing the inverse operations. Okay? Don't try to, what?
Since 10 equals 20 or whatever, just multiply by 2 and then 7 times 2 is 14.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can do that because, yeah, it's basically what you can view this as is you can view that as a proportion where you would cross multiply and divide, right? So I times 10 is 10i. 20 times 7 is 140. 140 divided by 10. We end up doing those same steps anyway. Okay. Are we good? We got it? So what I need you guys to understand is that the reason that we go over these notes is so that you know how to do it. But what I see a lot of times is that I teach you how to do something, and not just you, but other classes. And then when we get to a question, you try to figure out your own way to do it, right? That which makes my job pointless if you're just going to do whatever it is that you want to do anyway, and then get it wrong, right? Okay, so there's a reason that we go over these things. All right, let's look at something here. Let's look at question number 10. Ralph is an electrician. He charges an initial fee of $22 plus $31 per hour. If Ralph earned $177 on a job, how long did the job take? So we actually have to write an equation here. This is an excellent question. Right. 31h plus 22. Great. Perfect. I was nervous that we wouldn't get anywhere with this. Does everybody understand how they got that? Okay, so $31 per hour plus $22 initially equals 177. What do I need to do now? Christian, subtract what? From? Thank you. Okay, so we got 31H equals what? 155. Okay, Jordan, what's next? By? On? Okay, what's 155 divided by 31? Is it 5? Confirm it for me, Jordan. 5. So he worked for 5 hours. You can also use that the other way around. Once you guys get jobs or whatever, if you know what you're getting paid per hour and you know how much money you want to make, maybe there's something that you want to buy, you can figure out, hey, this is how many hours I'm going to have to work before I have enough money to buy the thing that it is that I want. Okay? And in life, you'll never stop doing that, whether it's buying a game system or it's buying a house, right? If you think about how much you earn, right, and how long it takes and how much money that you need to be able to buy the things that you want, right, then you can begin to put things in real terms. Okay. And this goes on and on. We're going to go ahead and stop here so that you guys can work. Do we feel like we've got an understanding of this? All right, enough to be dangerous. Go ahead. What's your question?
That's 22. It says A through G. There's only A through E and through G.
On 22?
Yeah.
Then do A through E. I'll double check. I'm just going on some of the stuff that I've been given. 22. Yeah, it says A through G on here. Is 23 A through F?
Yeah.
And that, so those numbers are right then, or the letters are right. Okay. So yeah, just do A through E then. Obviously, I can't make you do F and G. So, all right.